So I've just watched the Extinction Rebellion short film, 2 minutes long, with Keira Knightley's voiceover about climate change. What struck me the most was just the way that all the data is there, and yet we are failing to respond adequately to this climate emergency. I think what the video makes really clear is that there is such a need to act decisively and act now, otherwise, this opportunity will be lost, and the changes will be irreversible. I feel like it's a problem where we're all part of the problem, but at a governmental level, decisions also need to be taken. So I feel like there's that balance of obviously individual concern, individual steps that we want to take to stop the impact of climate change, but also the kind of responsibility of big companies to do something about it. It does make me cross when you think about, mass production of products, plastic-based products was happening, and everybody enjoys being able to buy things cheaply. Everyone enjoys being able to go to a supermarket and everything to be just there on a shelf, waiting to be bought. And there is so much waste, and it's just become such a just part of our lifestyle now. And I feel like if I start to think about all the products I'm buying on a weekly basis in the supermarket that have unnecessary plastic packaging, it starts to make my brain hurt. And I think, well, it feels such a huge problem to try to overcome. And I want to be a better consumer. I want to make better choices about where I'm buying things. But also, I feel like a sense of anger that there's these huge companies like Amazon making billions of pounds profit. They're kind of the winners of lockdown. They've gone up, their revenue's gone up 38% this year, 2020. And yet, I don't see them taking a lead on this massive global issue. It also really gets to me that the people in our world who are the most vulnerable in the poorest areas in the global south, they're the ones paying the price. They're the ones losing their lives. And I've heard it described as a form of genocide, in that those of us in the kind of comfortable northern areas, unaffected maybe at the moment by flooding, we're happy to allow those communities in Ghana to be flooded and devastated, in Bangladesh. We're kind of turning a blind eye, and people are losing their lives now, and are going to be losing their lives. This isn't just about saving the planet for the sake of wanting there to be green space, although I think that is vital for our survival. But it's the fact that it's human life, human rights and justice that is at the heart of the climate crisis problem. When Keira Knightley talks about the very real possibility in the next 10 years of food shortages, shortage of fresh water, mass migrations, social unrest, we love to think of ourselves as being totally secure, having food available when we want to buy it, having water available. What if that was no longer an option? What if suddenly there was no fresh water? What if suddenly, that those food supply chains dried up? I mean, that's where we need to be seriously thinking about the way we live. And if we can stop wasting so much now, it's gonna start being a lifestyle shift. It isn't going to be good enough to just plant a few more trees. We're going to have to get out of our really comfortable Western mindset of driving our cars around as much as we want to, whenever we want to. And just the way that coronavirus has, the governments have imposed restrictions upon us that we have accepted as being necessary for our well-being and for our future. In the same way, the governments have to act about climate change. We've heard for the last year the phrase, let's flatten the curve. Well, this is exactly the same thing. If governments don't exert their power now, then it's going to get to the point where that that growth is exponential, and that curve can no longer be flattened. So it makes no sense to me that on the one hand the governments are putting in place this stuff for coronavirus, restricting our freedoms, restricting our use of petrol and fuel and emissions, not for an environmental reason but for a health reason. And they're not doing that when it comes to plastic packaging, when it comes to our lifestyles, our very selfish way of thinking of, you know, I want to be able to fly around the world as much as I want to be able to buy all these convenient products and be able to just you know, throw away what I don't need. And ultimately those attitudes we have need to be challenged, and it's going to take a lot to change them. The question that Keira Knightley asks, why didn't you stop this? You know, imagining a future child asking a parent, I think is something we really need to think about. You know, we can all make small buying choices as consumers, you know, refusing to accept single-use plastic products. We can make those consumer choices, but we also need to be pressurising the government, big companies, supermarkets, to take seriously the need to change the way we do things in order to see change.